So let's go with GDPR. Well, as I see, I find that it is not strictly applicable to blockchain technology. Well, the reason behind my argument lies in the fact that although storage, pickup, or transfer of data exists, to my knowledge, these data are not personal. Well, this is because in some way data has been fragmented, has been divided, which entails that you cannot identify another only by the chain, and this is really important. Nonetheless, the set of obligations that inexorably have to be observed by the recipient or the destinatary of private information is indeed a completely different thing. So consequently, there is a high demand to have a previous identity check of the subject in question. And this character shall be approved and certified precisely by those in charge of security system nodes. In any case, it is really interesting to note that one of the most natural or impacting realm of application of this technology is precisely the ensemble of transactions between parties that don't know each other. So this is really, really important, that don't know each other, because in many examples, it is not necessary to know the other party in order to verify that it is reliable, that it is trustworthy, because trust in the chain is sufficient, and thus there is no need to depend on another party. All in all, well, this validation, to my understanding, the identity validation only has full sense in the context of private blockchain, or at least semi-private blockchain, or in cases where a lack of trust exists. So as a result, when relating to the supply chain, blockchain technology advantages are definite. Regarding EIDAS, the flexibility about identity, digital identity, the flexibility given by this regulation, as I see, facilitates the development of new businesses where blockchain could intervene, as it doesn't require the organization to identify individuals or entities in a public context, but can be done also, and this is really important, through the private sector, accompanied by the acknowledgement of the public one. Moreover, EIDAS allows the interoperability and cross-border authentication in the public sector, and besides, it provides or the ability to identify a person through biometrics, and allows us, and for me this is really relevant, to verify only single claims such as power of attorney, address, age, or professional qualification, and the other data are closed. So this is really important. Finally, I would like to stand out that there is a positive attitude towards the electronic signature in the cloud, and in my opinion, it would be very interesting not to be depending on a centralized server like in the past or like nowadays, but rather on a distributed system where the transactions are not stored, are not recorded in a single server. So this is EIDAS regulation. Concerning PSD2, Payment Service Directive, well, first of all, it's really relevant to enhance the importance of this regulation, given the fact that several banks are involved in the supply chain. So the regulator is pushing nowadays for the main banks to make some of the data public through APIs. Why? In the benefit of better competition in the market. Payment Services Directive aims to regulate new forms of payment institutions, introduces new interactions models, and mandates the opening of banks' APIs to third parties. As well, PSD2 introduces the figure of third-party payment initiation in the form of account information service providers and payment initiation service providers. So, in respect of payment initiation service providers, implies to initiate online payments post verification on behalf of a customer via a software bridge between the merchant's website and the customer's bank. And another thing really important, to dilute the reliance on credit or debit cards for online payments. So, in this scenario, the funds to cover the purchase of goods are paid to the merchant in real time. On the other hand, the introduction of account information service providers allows us to authenticate once in each financial institution you bank with, login into your account information service providers portal for a single customer view of all your balances. So this is incredible. As well, with account information service providers, consolidated and user-friendly information is provided to a payment account customer on one or several payment accounts from one or several financial institutions. So anyhow, PSD2 is a strong candidate, as I see, to combine the new technologies with the view to provide a valid solution to customers. Because always subject to consent, banks should open access to their customers' data and payment capabilities using a secure, thoroughly documented, federated, shared protocol, reusable solution. And I think that the blockchain technology could be the key technology to control the access to this data, always hinging on the kind of data, closed, shared, or open data, because we have to distinguish between the data, and always depending on customers' will. To sum up, access to payment accounts via APIs enables the provision of entirely new types of services that will now be regulated under PSD2. So anyway, once this general regulation have been analyzed, I will try, because I am not an expert in this area, but to highlight some duties that have to be observed by the importers of goods. And in this sense, the European regulation sets out like many specific due diligence and disclosure obligations. More specifically, as you know better than I do, importers must comply with the OECD guidance or another diligence scheme, incorporate their policies into their contracts and agreement, include a grievance mechanism for customers to report concerns. Of course, gather information about the source, and this is really important because it's related to blockchain, about the source and the chain of custody of the imports in questions, to identify and assess the risk to adverse human rights in their supply chain. And finally, importers must make annual public disclosures about their supply chain due diligence policies and procedures relating to their responsible sourcing. So, in order to advance my previous point, I will use a really simple example, the example of food supplies. Why? Because I find these to be good instances, as they are perishable and have an expiry date. This means that time lag is a key factor to take into account, to take into consideration. Tempo reduction, okay? So when looking at food supply imports, one must take into consideration hazard analysis, such as the presence of bacteria, pesticides, food allergens, parasites, or even risk evaluations or verifications of supply foreign activities. But when looking closely at the supply chain, as you probably know better than I do, appears the famous letter of credit that facilitates the international payments and provides lots of security because it allows to verify the aforesaid duties compliance. But how can I state this so certainly? Well, the reason behind my argument, as you know, lies in the fact that the supplier can be sure that, to receive the payment once he has demonstrated that he has embarked the stipulated goods in the contract, and moreover, the customer can assure that his bank will make no payment until this supplier has fulfilled all the agreed requirements. But well, I wonder, is this sufficient? Well, I think no. Nevertheless, even if these documents, such as the bill of lading, letter of credit, invoice, origin or inspection certificate, serve as a proof that, or serve as a test that can prove that everything has been done correctly, there is always a chance that these documents include errors, such as the human ones, or that they are fraudulent, or that they have been manipulated by third parties. And it is precisely here where blockchains come into scene. This is because the features and the benefits it presents. For example, this comprehends the following. The immutability and transparency it provides, as Roberto has said, okay? This occurs as, this is important, this occurs as changes to the public ledger, okay, will be seen and verified by millions of nodes, not only one computer, billion of nodes simultaneously across multiple ledgers, leading to a situation where transactions cannot be altered and cannot be deleted, hence resulting in data integrity and the impossibility of failures. But as well, I would like to underline the importance of the smart contracts, which are, well, it's difficult to define, but I will try. Which are, generally speaking, agreements between parties, self-executed or executed automatically once the software has detected that the conditions established by the parties are met. So as a lawyer, this concept, for me, is revolutionary in the legal world because it makes it possible the breach of the clauses of a contract, avoiding trials, avoiding seizures, avoiding injunctions, etc. Thus, linked to this concept, we will witness an increase in efficiency and a consequent fall in costs, notwithstanding, and this is really important because the people are confused, notwithstanding that only certain operation, the basic one nowadays, in the future I don't know, only certain operation can be eligible to be automated. So in short, blockchain technology provides a faster transaction time as transactions will be distributed across the whole network in minutes. And yeah, I will conclude by remarking two things. I think it's really important, really relevant to take into the consideration, or firstly, to have a high degree, a great degree, as in every technology, but here in particular, a great degree of cooperation among the businesses in this particular sector. This is because, as I told you, this technology heavily relies on interoperability and collaboration for it to be successfully implemented. We need more nodes, we need more companies collaborating. That's the point. And secondly, and for me more importantly, to bear in mind that despite all the aforementioned blockchain technology benefits in terms of integrity and immutability or transparency, these characters sometimes should be completed by an external control that the public notaries or another legal authority should exercise over the authenticity, that is, the legality of the content of the actions or transactions, and to verify, really important, the lack of duress, error, or threat of the people concerned. We cannot control that, and but only I think it's all important for relevant operation. It has no sense in if you are dealing with tiny operation. And the notaries could be, in our country, could be even in charge of safeguarding private keys and original documents, because someone has to safeguard this, because the individual maybe is absent-minded, and if you are going to lose your private key, maybe you are going to have bad consequences. So that's why my boss, Roberto Fernandez de Creta, afterwards will speak about the key role of the public notaries in the Lira network, in the Lira consortium. And that's it. Yeah.
Thank you much.